To many, films are our lens at which to view the world. Many people see it as a primary source of information, while some view it for how they should really see it, as a form of art, and nothing more. While taking this class, I got curious about a genre of movies I never thought I'd find myself wanting to watch: disaster movies, or more specifically, earthquake movies. I don't find films of this nature to be particularly enjoyable due to the fact that one could occur at any point in time, and I don't go out of my way to stress myself out like that. However, even though I've never seen any of these, I have seen enough movies to know that Hollywood likes to embellish and dramatize things. That being said, in this video we'll be taking a look at the 2015 film San Andreas starring Dwayne Johnson, and put it to the test. Let's see what it got wrong, and what, if anything, it got right. I will say for the record, this movie's pretty entertaining. I was going to call it fun, but again, watching it reminded me that if Cascadia hits in my lifetime, I better not be living on the West Coast, since all the characters in this movie did or experienced things that I definitely have phobias of. There's a fear of falling buildings, a fear of drowning, fear of being crushed. I think you get the idea. To give a quick recap, San Andreas follows a dad, played by The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, who's on a mission to unite his family after most of California has been devastated by 2 M9 megathrust earthquakes. Let's give some information on the San Andreas Fault really quick. According to the USGS, the San Andreas is the master fault of an intricate fault network that cuts through the rocks of the California coastal region. The entire San Andreas fault system is more than 800 miles long and extends to the depths of at least 10 miles within the Earth. Now, to this movie's credit, there were a number of key details that it did get right. A magnitude 9+ earthquake would absolutely devastate the California coast and would result in a lot of casualties. This would also happen regardless of how apocalyptic the Cascadia quake could actually be, but the phone lines and electricity would most definitely be out. According to producer Beau Flynn, it was important that the idea of drop, cover, and hold on be in the movie as an educational phrase. Another aspect that was proved fairly accurate was the number of fires that occurred during the film. According to a 2008 quake simulation of the LA area, it showed that an estimated 1,600 fires would occur during or after the earthquake, of which 1,200 would be too much to handle for the fire department. As you can see from the film, there's quite a number of these fires, so it's nice to see that this movie has some factual information. And with that being said, there's a lot of misinformation in this movie that we should set straight. In the movie, the California coast endures 2 megaquakes almost back to back, one 9.1 and one 9.6, the latter of which would barely beat out the 1960 Chile earthquake, which is the biggest in our history. Something that you notice right away in the movie is that we find out all the earthquake's magnitudes immediately, as shown by a constantly screaming Paul Giamatti.
It jumped to a 7.1! Lawrence, the Richter just jumped from 6.5 to an 8.5!
What does that mean?
Powers of 10! So it's 100 times stronger now! Everybody get off the deck! Everybody off! Hurry up! Stand behind the barriers! Oh, I want to be so wrong. Everyone take cover! Jesus, Kim, get the hell out of there!
When in reality, this isn't how magnitude recording works, at least not yet. In fact, it takes a while for earthquake magnitude to be recorded in the first place and involves data from a number of different locations and a good deal of analysis from seismologists. As for the actual size and magnitude of the earthquake in the movie, this too is over-exaggerated. According to experts, the odds of a magnitude 9 earthquake coming from the San Andreas Fault is pretty unlikely. It looks like they would see more along the lines of a magnitude 8.3 at best, and even that would be pushing things a bit. However, the biggest danger that a San Andreas Fault earthquake will see are fires, as we mentioned earlier. So for me, the first inaccuracy I noticed in the film was, of course, the cracks or openings in the earth. This is wrong for many reasons, not the least of which has to do with the fact that strike-slip faults do not produce split-apart chasms. Lucy Jones, who I brought up previously, also made this point where she said, and I quote, "Quakes are caused by tectonic plates moving against each other, not pulling apart. While there will be secondary cracks in the earth, images of gaping openings are the stuff of imagination, not fact." And the second inaccuracy I noticed was the mega tsunami that washed over the entire city. Not only was the wave both comically and apocalyptically large, the San Andreas Fault is, again, a strike-slip fault, and is positioned under California and wouldn't be able to produce a tsunami in the first place. Further inaccuracies come when scenes in this film depict roads lifted up, split apart, and other earthquake-related incidents. Especially this scene here. Now, if you ignore the huge chasm between them, this could actually happen if the fault was a reverse fault. There would be a hanging wall block and a footwall block here and here, but regardless, there wouldn't be a gaping hole in the ground either way, and this fault isn't a reverse fault anyway, so let's move on. Even though I consider myself pretty susceptible to the realism of this movie, even I noticed that the destruction of this movie is basically apocalyptic. The earth is swallowing up people, the tsunami has engulfed the entire city, and all the buildings are crumbling to the ground. Although that last point might be accurate in the context of this movie, it wouldn't hold up during an actual San Andreas earthquake, For one, a great majority of high-rise buildings, especially those in the Pacific Northwest, have been built or have been retrofitted to withstand earthquakes or other natural disasters. In fact, an article published in the late 2020s states that San Francisco, the main setting in this movie, put in place a mandatory retrofit program, and the deadline for completion was last year, 2021. And yes, though we see that a few of the buildings have remained upright by the end of the movie, in the real deal, there would be certainly more buildings still standing, if we were to go based off of the 40% range that this article gives. So before we conclude, let's talk about the Hoover Dam scene for a bit, because there is a lot of shenanigans and tomfoolery going on here. So Dr. Lawrence Hayes, played by Paul Giamatti, is at the Hoover Dam testing a new way to definitively predict earthquakes. While he's there, the recently discovered active fault under the Hoover Dam triggers an earthquake, which crumbles and destroys the entire Hoover Dam. Now, first of all, and this is important, you cannot accurately predict earthquakes. I really don't know what this adds to the movie. If anything, it adds even more misinformation about seismology and earthquake science. And the worst part about this, even if accurate prediction does exist in the movie, nobody uses it. By the time the two main megathrusts occur and the Doctor realizes that it's accurate, they're already getting pummeled by earthquakes and destruction. Fat lot of good that did you, Giamatti. It could have saved thousands of lives, you moron.
Oh, this is not good.
As for the Hoover Dam destruction, it's highly unlikely that the dam would crumble that easily from an actual earthquake. According to multiple sources, the Hoover Dam should be able to withstand a relatively strong earthquake. In point of fact, the Hoover Dam was actually put to the test back in 2019 when California endured a 6.4 and a 7.1 magnitude earthquake near Ridgecrest, California on July 4th and July 5th, respectively. After the earthquakes ended, a team of engineers and inspectors examined the dam structure and concluded that it, quote, reacted satisfactorily to all of the recent large earthquakes. So to conclude, San Andreas is a very fun movie, but it is not without its fair share of embellishment, flaws, and blatant misinformation. It does worry me quite a bit that this movie is so widely known to be the best earthquake movie, considering everything we've looked at in this video. Even though the producer entertained the idea of making a more accurate movie, it doesn't seem like we'll be getting one anytime soon. Even though for many, movies are a way in which to accurately see the world, maybe try to avert your eyes from this one.